Hey, what up guys? Welcome back to my fish room. Today's video, I'm going to be going over ick and what to do when your fish get ick. Now, I've been fish keeping for an extremely long time, 20 years of my life, probably longer, and I've ran into ick quite a few times in the fish room, and today I'm just going to go over a few ways that you can fight ick and hopefully help you get rid of it and defeat ick. So the main thing is understanding what ick even is. So ick is basically just a parasite that will attack your fish from the outside on their scales and on the outside of their body. Now ick is going to show up on the fins here, and that's mainly where you're going to see it at the beginning, is on their fins here. You'll see a lot of little white dots on their fins here, and you'll notice a lot of the fish will have it. So this whole group of tetras would have it on their fins, and both of these fish too. So normally you'll find a couple fish in the tank have these white dots on them, and it's basically a parasite, right? So it's attaching to their body and eating away at their fins and at their body. And then after they eat on the fish, normally they're going to drop babies into the gravel, and the babies in the gravel eventually hatch, and then they come up and attach back to the fish. So that's how ick reproduces so fast. Ick will attach right to your fish, then drop hundreds of babies into the gravel, and that's how you end up with a whole tank overrun with ick, because it just drops right in the gravel and it spreads like crazy, you know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of babies from one little ick. So the first thing I definitely recommend doing is always having ick medicine on hand, or some sort of medicine. Now if you have a fish room or you don't have a fish room, I definitely recommend getting super ick. There's a whole bunch of different ick medicines, but this one's the one that's worked really good for me. I've treated ick on several fish with this, and it's pretty hit or miss with other companies for me, but API is always really good for me to fight ick. So the first thing I always have on hand is ick cure, which all this stuff does is it's going to kill the ick in the gravel. So when they lay eggs in the gravel, it's going to kill off all those eggs, because the ick that lives on the fish does not live very long. What you're trying to kill off is all the babies in the gravel, pretty much. This stuff has instructions. It's pretty much going to tell you to fill up a cap and dump it in, and you'll have to do that a certain amount of times, and you'll have to dump in a certain amount of capfuls depending how big your tank is. Now my real big tip with super ick cure or anything else like this is I would for sure drain your tank down. If you have a larger tank, it can definitely help save with the bottle. If you only have one bottle and you have a huge tank like this, I would drain the water all the way down to quarter way. That way I'm only treating about 5 gallons instead of treating 20 gallons. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but that's how I do it if I need to treat with super ick. I usually drain the tank to about 50% or 25% just to save on the chemicals. Now there's also several other things you can do besides just having super ick cure. You can also turn up the temperature while doing that, and I definitely have seen that this works. But when you turn up the temperature, just be careful, because I want to explain what turning up the temperature actually does when you have ick. So when you have ick on your fish here and you turn up the temperature, what it's going to do is make that ick die faster, but it's also going to make that ick have more babies faster too. So the ick's lifespan is going to shorten, but it's going to have more babies. So if you're not putting super ick cure in the water and you turn up the temperature, it's just going to spread like wildfire. So the whole goal is to turn up the temperature and put in super ick cure. That way the babies die, and then the parents on the fish die off really fast too. So that's pretty much the main method when killing ick, and I've gotten away with eradicating ick on tons of fish over my years with this system. I always turn up the temperature on the aquarium if I can, and I dump in the super ick cure. Now normally you're going to have to put it in this tank and wait a couple days, and then you're going to water change 25%, and then you're going to do another dose. Most times I'll do that dose 3 times, maybe 4 times, just until I see no more ick on the fish. A big thing is quarantining fish, which just means having another tank on the side. So say this is my main aquarium and I bought some new fish. I would put those new fish in this fish tank over here and make sure they're okay before I go ahead and move them over here. Because, you know, I've spent so much money on all of these fish in this aquarium, I don't want to make them all sick and have to treat the entire aquarium. So that's another way to fight ick, you know, just being smart and thinking ahead and quarantining your fish. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was adding salt to your aquarium, because salt can help fight ick as well. Now, I've personally never used salt, but I hear a lot of people talk about it when fighting ick. But in my opinion, I've just never used salt because I'm scared and I've never used it, so I don't really care to try it. So I've had really good luck just turning up my temperature and using Super Ick Cure. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have had ick and how you guys defeated it. This is just me personally. Over the last 20 years, I've fought ick so many times, and this is just me personally, my opinion on how to fight ick. If you guys are interested, I have a whole bunch of videos on all my fish tanks here in the fish room, and a whole bunch of videos on other stuff. So please check out the fish room and all my stuff on the channel. Please subscribe, leave a like on the video. I'll see you guys later. Peace.